Hey, welcome back to another video. Today's video is about how to decide what you want to take with you on a bikepacking trip as a beginner. So this setup that I'm going to show you now is the one that I'm going to be using for the Old Chalk Way in a few weeks. But what I wanted this video to be about was how I came to decide on this setup and some things to take into consideration if this is your first time bikepacking. Right, so first question that I want to ask you is, do you like bikepacking? You're thinking that's a stupid question. I don't know, I've never been bikepacking. Well, before you go out and spend a fortune on a new bikepacking bike, bikepacking bags and all the gear, maybe you should try it with what you've got. Take a rucksack, take your bike that you've already got, buy a cheap bivvy maybe, or a cheap tent, or just keep the tent that you've already got, pack it in a bag, go somewhere local and just see if you like it or not. Don't do what I did on my first trip, which was buy a bike, buy all the bags, buy all the gear, go bikepacking and not really enjoy it. And at the time I thought, yeah, you know what, I don't actually like bikepacking. So yeah, bikepacking is not always what you think it's going to be. It's not all amazing views, beautiful lakes and lochs, stunning mountains, fun trails. Sometimes it's hard. Some of the things that YouTube and Instagram make you believe about bikepacking, it'd be great if it was like that all the time. Sometimes the weather's crap. Sometimes you can go for days without finding somewhere to go for a swim and have a wash and you stink. Sometimes you're running low on food and water. You know, it's not as easy as everyone makes it out to be. That was supposed to be some sort of cool transition into me saying, let's go and have a look in the bags. So how do I decide what to take with me? So I start off by making a list, and I break that list down into categories like sleeping equipment, food, electronics, hygiene, that sort of thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my equipment and talk about the different things that you can bring and things to take into consideration. So the first thing you're going to need is some bags. I'll go through my setup with the bags and I'll explain why I've gone with those options, tell you about different options that there is. So I've gone for the Tailfin Aero Pack, and the reason for that is just simplicity. So I have got a saddle bag and I did use that for the GB Divide and it worked great, it was fantastic, but the only issue I had with it was if you want to get something out and it's at the back of the saddle bag, it means taking absolutely everything out, and that just takes up time and it's just annoying, to be honest. So the great thing about the Tailfin Aero Pack is just how easy it is to get into the bag. So I'll show you how easy that is. There's two ways of doing it. On the side there's a zip. You unzip that, you can actually get into the bag from the side. If you pack it right, you can put things near that zip and you can just reach your hand in and grab it out, which is convenient. The other way of opening it is through the top, so let's undo those straps. So there's 4 straps. I think they could have made this a bit easier, to be honest. So there's these 2 at the top, and then there's one at the back and one at the front, which can be a little bit tricky to get to, like that. And then you just roll it open like that. And then obviously you can reach everything in there, which is a lot more convenient than having to take out all the stuff at the front to get to the stuff at the back. Other thing I didn't mention about the bags is these mini pannier bags from Tailfin. They seem so easy to get in and out of again, and they're easy to get on and off. I think I can do this one-handed. Let's see. Yep. Took it off one-handed, which is the main reason really for going for this. In the frame I've got a frame bag which enables me to store stuff. I was a little bit up in the air as to whether to take water bottles instead of a frame bag, but actually I've put a hydration bladder in the frame bag, which allows me to carry the same amount of water as I would with the bottles, and it also gives me a little bit of space for putting extra stuff. And then we've got top tube bag. Usually I'll put some food in there or spares that I need to get to. At the front I've got a small bar bag which enables me to carry enough food, I think, probably for a few days. I didn't want to take a big one because it's a lot of faff and hassle and weight, and you end up just packing stuff that you don't actually really need. First category we're going to go through is my sleep system. So let's get everything out of the bags and I'll show you what I'm taking and what you need to consider when you're deciding on your sleep system. So first bag, I've got a few different bits in here, but the main thing is my thermarest. My thermarest is the Neo Air, which packs down quite small. Also, it's quite a warm one. Things to take into consideration when deciding on your sleeping pad is where you're going to be riding, what the weather's going to be like, what the temperature is going to be like, and also space in your bags as well. The warmer the sleeping pad, the bigger it's going to be generally, which means it'll take up more space, and also the more budget your sleeping pad is, the heavier it's going to be and the more space it's going to take up. I find this is sort of the best compromise, although it's expensive. It's still like, I think they're about, I don't know, 150, 200 pounds, which is a lot for a sleeping mat, but it's not failed me yet. I am ordering a few bits from AliExpress, a sleeping pad coming from there for Hayley, because we're all going to go bike packing as a family. I didn't want to spend a massive amount of money because I'm not sure how often we're going to do it. So I'll see how that goes. I have bought my tent from AliExpress actually. I'll show you that in a minute. We'll open up the next bag and I'll show you the other bits. One of the most obvious parts of your sleeping system is your sleeping bag. Again, you need to take into consideration where you're going to be, the time of year and the weather. My bag that I'm probably going to take on the old short way is this Rab one. It's a down sleeping bag. Down's generally lighter and warmer than synthetic for the weight. However, if you get it wet, it doesn't really work. So you need to consider whether you're going to be able to keep your kit dry. I went for down because it packs down smaller and it's lighter, but it's expensive. Like I say, there are cheaper options on AliExpress, which I haven't tried, but I have had good experience with the tents. So yeah, maybe it's something you can try out. The lighter your sleeping bag's going to be and the warmer it is, the more it's going to cost. Basically, what you need to do is pick either warmth and weight, and you have to spend a lot of money, or warmth and cheap but sacrifice on the weight, I think. The other option, my sort of summer setup, is I've got a quilt which is not quite as warm, but you don't generally need it to be as warm. If in doubt, I would say you're better off with something warmer than something that's a bit cooler, because you can just either open the bag up, use it as a quilt, something like that. The other thing that I consider to be part of my sleep system is my down jacket. Again, you pay for lightweight. If you go for down instead of synthetic, it's going to probably be more expensive. If it's lighter, it's going to be more expensive. I've got this Rab alpine jacket with a hood. I think a hood's quite useful to have. You can obviously wear it while you're riding, but you don't really want to get it wet. So I would try and avoid it if you're going to be sweating, or if it's raining, you want to try and keep it dry for when you get off the bike. Final part of my sleep system is my tent. This is a AliExpress special. It's a Lanshan 1 tent, and actually I really love this tent. I think it's fantastic. It's cheap and it's light and it's fairly waterproof. I did seam seal the tent because it doesn't come seam sealed. It's really easy to do, and it's also pretty durable, I think. I used it for GB Divide. It's easy to put up. It's just a great tent. I really recommend this tent. Also, I've got the Lanshan 2-person tent, which actually isn't much bigger or much heavier. We bought that for bike packing as a family because I really rate the Lanshan 1. Obviously, there's all sorts of different tent options. If you've got a small tent, then, you know, if you've already got a tent, just take that if it's not going to take up too much room in your setup. I forgot to mention as well, you need a pole for it. It's designed to work with walking poles, but I made up my own tent pole, and I just take that with me. Right, next up is spare clothes. Again, you need to take into consideration where you are going to be riding and what the weather's going to be like. So I'll just go through my spares. Waterproof trousers, although I need to get a new set. These Rab ones are really good. It's also nice to have something that you can sort of wear around your camp, or maybe as an extra layer at night. Arm warmers and leg warmers. I'm wearing my leg warmers, but we've got arm warmers here. It's just a lightweight piece of kit that can give you a little bit of extra warmth without taking up too much room, I find. Spare jersey. I like to try and take spare clothes because it's nice to have a change. Maybe usually what I do is I'll wash what I've worn the previous day and hang it off the bike to dry, and then I'll wear new clothes the next day or every few days. I've got a spare set of bib shorts as well. Waterproof sock, handy, keep your feet warm as well, and another thing that you can wear once you're off the bike as well. Spare socks. I like to try and keep my feet dry. You don't want to have issues with your feet. Merino wool buff. Merino wool's like one of the best fabrics to use. Buff is really a handy bit of kit to have. Obviously, packs down small. It's versatile. You can wear it around your neck, you can wear it on your head, you can wear it while you're riding. It's great to wear around camp to give you a little bit of extra warmth. Yeah, I definitely recommend taking a buff. Waterproof jacket. This one's the outdoor research one. It's quite nice and light and packs down small. You want something fairly light, and then you can sort of layer up underneath it. Yeah, so a few things that I haven't actually got in the bags because this isn't like my final pack. Thermals. I recommend that you take spare thermals for sleeping in, something, or at least something to sleep in, and also you can wear that on the bike if you really need to. Maybe a pair of shorts to wear around camp or to go swimming in. I definitely recommend that, especially if there's going to be people around. So yeah, it's nice to have a pair of shorts that you can get changed into that you can save for best, and maybe a t-shirt as well that you can get changed to, just save for when you're not riding on the bike so you don't have to sleep in sweaty kit. The next thing that I'd have on my list is electronics. So nowadays everyone has a mobile phone, and I definitely recommend that you take your mobile phone with you, but also you need some way of charging it. I've got a dynamo hub, which is Sun Dynamo hub. This dynamo hubs are only really useful if you're riding fast enough, charge up your equipment. Best thing I find to do is just to have a power bank links up to the dynamo, and I've got this little charger from the dynamo hub to power that can charge a power bank, and then you can use the power bank to charge your other gear, and you can just leave that plugged in throughout the day and charge your stuff overnight. So you need to make sure that the right sort of cables. My head unit, my old Wahoo, that takes a old USB connection, so you just need to make sure that you've got all the right cables for the connections that you've got. Lighting wise, you can take battery powered lights. Obviously though, if you're doing that, you need to find somewhere to charge them, so you're going to need a big power bank if you don't have a dynamo that's going to last you for the amount of time that you're out on the trail. I have got a dynamo light, so I've got an exposure revo on the front, and on the back I've got an exposure red eye, and usually I'll take some spare lights as well, actually, in the event that something like you lose power in your lights or they break or you lose them. Yeah, it's good to have spares. The other electronics that I take, but if you don't film your rides then you won't need to worry about this, is got my drone in the frame bag, and then I'll carry my spare batteries for my camera and any camera equipment, SD cards, that sort of thing. You need to make sure obviously you keep them somewhere where it's waterproof, where they're not going to get wet. The next thing on my list is hygiene, first aid, that sort of thing. So I carry this little pouch. This has got in it first aid kit, nappy, cream in case you get saddle sores, dry shower stuff, poo shovel for digging holes to if you need to go to the toilet paper, some various other bits. This is my toolkit. Obviously depends what you think you will need, but what I've got in my toolkit is spare tubes, chain breaker, spare chain link, spare bolts, tyre levers, puncture repair kit. I've got on my handlebars here and here I've got the tubeless like plug things They're quick and easy to get to. Oh yeah, and the multi-tool. Next thing is food and cooking equipment. Now, I like to take a stove because I like to have a cup of coffee at least once in the morning and probably a few times throughout the day to keep me going. So yeah, I'm using this out kit, brew kit. There's other copies of this that you can have online from places like AliExpress, pretty much the same thing. It's a great stove, it is really good, but it is quite big. If you look at that compared to my sleeping pad, it's pretty big, but I just really like having it. Find it extremely convenient. The question I've been asked a few times is how much food do you take? Generally, again, it depends on where you're riding, but I like to take enough food that will keep me fed for at least 2 or 3 days. So that means like 3 days worth of porridge. I usually keep that in a pouch. 3 sort of lunchtime meals. I like the freeze-dried stuff, and then snacks obviously throughout the day. However, what I generally do is try and keep stocked up on food at all points. So if I see a shop and I'm in an area where I know I won't see a shop again, I will stop for food and stock up on my food. As for water, how do you know how much water to take? As a general rule, I try and have at least 4 litres of water storage on my bike. Again, it depends where you're riding and the weather that you're riding in. When I did GB Divide, it was just so hot. I had 4 litres of water storage on my bike, and probably all the time I had that filled up. For my main water storage, I've got it on the fork. It's not ideal, and I did have issues with GB Divide with bottles falling off, but I've changed the bottle cages. These ones seem a lot better. And it just gives me the option to carry the water on the front of the bike instead of in the hydration bladder. Tips for getting water. Now, you think that in the UK it might be easy to get water, but if you're on a bikepacking route that doesn't go through towns and villages, then it can be difficult to get hold of water, especially in the southwest of England, because generally you don't really want to drink from streams because they're just not very nice. You're probably going to get ill. So, getting water. My best advice is churches. If you see a church, because there's churches always all over the south of England, generally they have an outdoor tap, and I take water purification tablets with me, which I just pop into my water just in case it's not like this, if there's an issue with the water, just in case. And some of the other things I take as well is Imodium is important, just in case you have a bad stomach and you're caught in the middle of nowhere. You need to have some way of stopping you going to the toilet all the time. If in doubt with water, I always recommend is that you boil the water, and that's another good reason to have a stove. I've been in situations where there's not been really a nice source of water around, something that looked okay but a bit questionable, and I've boiled the water and I've been okay. You can carry a filter, obviously, which takes up more space. Yeah, in Scotland, like drinking from streams and stuff like that in the Highlands, I always use water purification tablets on all my water just in case, but I never had an issue from drinking from streams in Scotland and Wales. Just be aware of animals, like dead animals within the water. Just check the surroundings to make sure there's no issues, and try and like drink from fast flowing water as well. Final bit of advice is just to make sure that before you go out on your big epic adventures, that you test ride your setup. You want to make sure that if your ride is off-road, that your equipment stands up to that. I've already decided with my setup today, this is a bit of a test ride myself. I'm not happy with my GPS location because it's just giving me neck ache trying to look down on it. This is my first time riding with the mini pannier bags as well, so I wanted to make sure that riding off-road, how I got them packed was okay. Where you put stuff has a big effect on the handling of the bike. And also the thing is, if you go on a trip and you've never ridden with a fully loaded bike, it can feel quite different to what you're used to. So it's always good to go out and practice with kit on your bike, just to get used to the feel of it, and also to adjust your expectations to how fast you're going to be going. Once you get a bike that's fully loaded up to speed, it's all right, but uphill it can be quite slow and clunky, and off-road it can be a little bit more difficult to ride. So you need to sort of adjust your expectations, and when you plan a big trip, make sure that you've got enough time to complete it, or you've got a backup plan for what will happen if you don't get to the end. So yeah, I hope you found the video useful. Just remember to take all these things into consideration. If you've got any tips for packing, for bike packing, or any questions about my setup, then let me know. I am going to be doing the old chalk way, like I say, in about a week's time, which I'm going to film, and hopefully I'll get a video up onto the channel in the next month or so. One final thing I forgot to mention actually, and everyone forgets this, is make sure you've got a little bit of extra space in your bags for if you need to pick up additional food, or someone tries to give you 4 litres of cider that you've not got room for, you know, that sort of thing. You know, you don't want to be offending anyone because you can't fit the cider onto your bike, or the gift that they're giving you, or whatever it is, or you might see something that you like and pick it up and want to take it home, or you might decide the amount of food that you've took, you want to have more food, you might want to carry a bit more water, that sort of thing. You just want to have a little bit of extra room left in your bags for all eventualities, really. And I think that's an important thing that a lot of people miss when they do these videos on YouTube. Anyway, yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you next time. Bye.